My name is Zeke Boyle from the Beechwoods section of town of Delaware, and I've lived up there all my life. My family's been was farmers there since the 1840s, and when we were forced out of farming in the 1960s, I went into carpentry, and I've been a carpenter for 42 years, and like Mr. Fulton, I had an experience with fracking. Recently, I built a home in the town of Bethel, and Billy Fulton drilled a well, and went 600 feet, no water. He said, "You're going to have to call in the frackers." I didn't know what he was talking about. I called my well drilling guru, Charlie Smith, and I said, "Charlie, who fracks?" And he said, "There's a group in New Jersey." He gave me their number. They came up. It is a very invasive process. These guys told me stories about blowing submersible pumps out of people's wells that were a quarter of a mile away, that went shooting up out of the well casing and 100 feet in the air. If they're using fracking to fracture bedrock to release the gases trapped there, what is it doing to the cement that's supposed to be encasing the water aquifers? I know it's at different levels, but we have no idea what's going on down there. And to speak just for a minute about the economic model that we have here that's working, I've worked on projects in the town of Callicoon all my life, many projects, and I'm just really worried that we're risking a really good economic model for possible quick gain, and if we have accidents, we're going to be losing it all. And I thank you guys for the amount of work you're doing on this. And I read the plan, and I'll have to read through again because I couldn't get through it all, but it's very knowledgeable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ann Hart. Hi, my name is Ann Hart. I own property and a business in Youngsville. After this, I will hand you a petition with about 200 signatures on it. A couple people got a little excited, so there's some duplicates there, but I will hand that to you later. Most of you are either elected or appointed town officials. As such, it's your sworn duty, particularly the board, to protect the general health, safety, and welfare of everyone in town. Some of you are first responders, and in that capacity, you very actively protect your fellow citizens from fire, flood, accident, health emergencies. One of you, a board member, has firsthand experience dealing with wreckage from automobile accidents. On some level, all of you know what it means to look after your neighbors and how important it is to any community, no matter how long anybody in the community has been here. It really isn't any different with gas drilling. In many communities, just like ours, all over the country, accidents have happened as a result of hydraulic fracturing. I have a list here. I won't read it aloud. You can read it later. New York State hasn't issued its final determination on regulations with regard to gas drilling, and yet, in the plan, you're willing to rely on their judgment without knowing what they'll say. New York State has not done a health impact assessment, so how can you say it's safe? There's a widely accepted approach toward public policy decision-making called a precautionary principle. It's founded on the idea that when the health of humans and the environment is at stake, it may not be necessary to wait for scientific certainty to take protective action. It comes from a German word which means forecaring. It carries a sense of foresight and preparation, not merely caution. There's a social responsibility to protect the public from exposure to harm when scientific investigation has found that there is a plausible risk. That's the case with gas drilling. The ethical assumption behind the precautionary principle is that humans are responsible to protect, preserve, and restore the global ecosystems on which all life, including our own, and that of future generations, depends. I have a little bit more about that in there, but I will keep it short. My family taught me this principle as a young child. It was a very simple principle. When in doubt, don't. There's doubt here. Please don't. I respectfully request that you remove all language welcoming gas drilling and the development of transient housing from the comprehensive plan. Instead, I urge you to continue a conversation with all of the members of this community on what is best for all of us, not just those of us who have been here forever, and the future of this town as the implementation of the plan continues. I also believe that if any town board member who will ultimately vote on this, or has a family member or business association, and they stand to financially gain by leasing land, providing housing to transient workers, or providing any service to this industry, they should recuse themselves from the vote on the plan. As our elected officials, you must stand for all of us before you stand for your own personal gain. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evelyn Weissman. I'm Evelyn Weissman, 2000 Center. I'm a dairy farmer. And contrary to popular belief that I need the money from gas drilling. I don't need money from gas drilling. I want the money from gas drilling. And I want it for each and every person in this room. Just as my husband gave himself to be a fireman for anybody who needs him, which I don't know all you people. You know, I don't know who you are, but if the fire whistle blows, there's somebody's gonna be there, and it might not be you people. But anyway, once the gas drilling comes through, I have friends, I've lived in Pennsylvania my whole life, and the big kick as teenagers was to light the faucet on fire. So Mr. Fox, he's just lost it all, but he's scared every one of you. The money that comes in to my friends that are in Pennsylvania, the taxes they pay, has helped everybody in the community. I'm sorry that you people that moved in and want to live, you know, be in the rural area, us farmers are leaving.
Excuse
You're gonna
me,
be
is she
leaving.
addressing the audience or you?
Okay, us farmers are leaving. And I do want to tell you, you did a great job, and thanks for protecting my property rights as a property owner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Earl Myers?
Earl Myers, I'm a dairy farmer too, lived here all my life, my family's lived here for generations. They go in that, I get mixed emotions about what I see here tonight. They tell me that you wanna go and look at all the open fields, the open spaces, farms, the cows out in the fields and stuff like that. And at the same time, I've done a survey on the different farms in the areas, and 75% of the farm and the landowners that I surveyed were in favor of fracking and gas drilling. Many of them could use a lot of money right now because in the last 4 or 5 years, the farm business has been pretty bad. You have a pricing system that doesn't work well. You have ethanol that has drove up feed costs. It's going to go and it's going to show up in the grocery stores. It's already showed up in the grocery stores, and that will continue. And until it levels out somehow, which I don't see happening very fast, the farmers that are here in this area certainly use a good shot in the rear in order to keep their businesses going, to maintain the open space that everybody dreams and says they love. The other point too I'd like to make, about 49% of the land in the town of Callicoon is farmed. Another 40% is woodland. 10% is houses and residential areas. But basically, I'm looking at this crowd here and I'm thinking to myself, well, most of it's probably about the 10%. The other 90% of the property out there is not. The board here has done an excellent job as far as I'm concerned. For you to go and take a stand one way or the other, I think is illegal if you want my honest opinion. I think it should be where you've got to remain neutral on this subject, because it'll only lead to lawsuits and stuff in the future anyway. And you're going to be under pressure, like you got the pressure tonight, you got from 2 sides. The farm families, they've been ridiculed and just unbelievable. Why any farmer would really want to stay here anymore is far beyond my imagination. I thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Whitcoat. Sorry. Scott Gable.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. About Barbara Buckman.
I'm a homeowner in Youngsville. I'm a homeowner with my husband for 21 years. And we moved here.
Could you speak up a little bit? You can't hear you.
We moved here as part-timers and are looking forward to being able to retire here full-time. And we're among a number of people here who just this county in particular, and we'd hate to see that be compromised by bringing in heavy industry. So I'd like to speak in favor of removing any language in a comprehensive plan that's in support of law. I haven't heard anything to convince me that there's any sustainable benefit to bringing it into the county or anywhere actually. And until it's proven to be safe, I'm advocating against seeing that happen.
Thank you.
Richard,
Goodman, who lives in Youngsville. BP, in order to get a permit to drill in the Gulf, had to put in all kinds of papers,
Address the board, please.
go to all kinds of government committees in order to get a permit to drill. And they had to provide features that showed that they were concerned with safety. And then, of course, something happened and the Gulf got covered with oil. The nuclear plant in Japan got hit by a tsunami, which they never predicted would happen, but it did. Then we also had Chernobyl. We also had 3 Mile Island. Accidents will happen, and by having, oh, by the way, let me restart, I'm against traffic. By having industry of that type, and we do need industry here sometimes, but heavy industry like that is inviting accidents to happen. And more often than not, with Murphy's Law in place, it's true. The second thing I'd like to say is that bringing fracking in will turn neighbor against neighbor.
Can you address the board,
I'm
not
sorry,
the audience?
I'm not doing it on purpose. Fracking, in my opinion, will bring neighbor against neighbor. If I choose not to frack and my neighbor chooses to frack, and something happens to my property because of his fracking, do you think when we meet in the post office, we're each going to give a lousy hello the way we used to? I doubt it. I think that it's something that does not need to be here, and that, as has been suggested, that there be other ways of getting industry in here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeffrey, his last name starts with an M.
I'm not gonna repeat what so many people have said already. Define safety.
Where are you from?
I'm in town of Fremont. Yeah, that's why I didn't check it off. I thought it was for residents only, but happy to talk. The water is the ultimate issue for all of us, okay? And there are many, many examples of contaminations. Just read some more. Declining property values. I read a Guardian article just yesterday showing the statistics showing declining homeowner values. Okay, if you've signed a lease and you make your money, God bless. But for everybody else, it's a mess. The number of years you're here, or the size of your property, or even property rights is really irrelevant. Well, it's irrelevant to the health issues and the water issues, and it's amazing to me that someone will speak of their acre or versus 200 acres. It really is neighbor versus neighbor. It's a conflict that shouldn't exist. It really shouldn't exist. Very commendable for you guys to do the hard work to do all these tasks. It's very difficult. But on an issue like this, it should be clear and it should be easy. You really want to protect the health and welfare of all the people, and that's your job. And it takes some guts to do that. So protect us and ban it. Don't allow, because you can't define the safety issues, and you can't define that a company will come in and be responsible. define that. Let's see lots of paragraphs about what that means. Okay, and other than that, let's get off of this. New versus old. I'm only here like 32 years or so, but it has nothing to do with that. I could be here one day or last year. If I'm paying the property taxes, if I own property, if I care, that's enough. And I think most people, almost everyone in this room, whatever side of the argument you're on, if you care about the place, think it through. And I say that to the crowd, I also say it to the board, with most good respect, and thank you.
Thank you.
Ron Bernhardt?
Yeah, I came to do my opposition to fracking on many grounds. I'm very concerned our national leaders aren't listening to us. This Citizens United case, we see horrible ramifications. I predict a terrible country all over, no matter fracking or not, headed this next election, which will be bought out by billions of dollars, if mostly the Republican side. I don't think our state lawmakers are listening to us. I'm hoping that on a local level, maybe, and I'm in favor of, putting it to ballot again, maybe with a provision that if there is damage, the corporations and the people that are benefiting financially will sign on that they will take care of other people's wells that they ruined. This is not the past practice. If it can be done safely, go ahead and do it. But to rush through and to make all of us subject to danger. I live down in Chandelier, Panther Brook Property Road. Flooding is getting me now. It's ruining my property value. And if, God forbid, if we get methane or something else in our wells because of it, I don't believe in all the science has been studied as proof to say. I believe there's public interest being dominated by money in all universities. I question any of these studies, whether they be Penn State or Texas or, I'm seeing on all levels, corporations are finding out, appointing their own professors to do their work and not even validated by other people. So I think it's nice that we're all here, and I hope we can still remain friends and neighbors. But I've been silently opposed to it. But, I decided based on, I haven't even read the survey. I'm sorry about it. I didn't fill one out. I didn't get one, or it was thrown out accidentally. I've said enough. I just wanted to be on record against it.
Thanks, Ron.
The next name on the list is somebody from Callicoon Center. The first name looks like G-A-U-T-H. Last name
What's it?
Let everybody know. The next name is Douglas Hills.
The first name.
No, there's no first name was me.
Danielle Hilson.
I'm sorry.
Danielle Hilson.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'm not known for my good writing skills. I'm really not prepared with any kind of a speech or one side or the other. All I want to say, first of all, I live in Callicoon Center. I'm a business owner in Jeffersonville, and we have a home in Callicoon Center. I'm really very impressed by the eloquence on both sides. I'm amazed at how much people have given thought to it.
Can you talk to the
Sorry.
board?
How much thought has been given to it. I commend the board for a plan that seems to incorporate what people are repeating here, which is that we are all interested in the safety of our water and the protection of our environment, the environment that makes us choose to live here versus New York City or whatever. All I can say is that I believe in democracy, and I trust that the board will listen, especially to the recommendations of Al and Lazy Shoup. And also, I thought Pam Butler made an excellent recommendation on looking at other ways that could be included, such as solar energy, such as wind energy, to find ways to help the economy, to help the farmers here who are suffering. There's no question that they are, and that they need our help because we rely on them for everything that we need, for what we eat, for our environment. It started with them. So if there can be some kind of equality here, more research done, more surveys sent out, some really intelligent relooking at the entire question, I think that maybe the next meeting would find more people agreeing with one side or the other. And this idea of neighbor against neighbor is really appalling, given that we've all chosen to live here for the very same reasons.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Doug Nelson. I live in Callicoon Center. as of last Sunday, it's been 40 years of marriage, we have a law in our house called Doug's Law, which is Danielle's always right. So I totally agree with what she had to say. And my thing that's hit me the most is that I know my immediate neighbor is a dairy farmer who I truly adore. And the neighborhood, which we had a major fire, which was saved. The house was saved by the fire department that was there, the local citizens who lived there. And the kind of feeling of community is overwhelming for both my wife's and my life. But with that, with all the, let's say, the kind of concern I have particularly for the farms in this community, the only problem is this seems like too big a risk. I am totally sympathetic to what their needs are, to the economy that's going on with the farm, but the risk is just too much to take, and the danger of that.
Thank you.